Hi all, this is Sinclair Schuler from Apprenda. I figured we'd kick it off. It's about 6:45 Eastern now. And the breakout session today is around infrastructure as a service players versus platform as a service players and understanding the evolution of cloud stacks. What do each of these categories mean for those looking to leverage the cloud in delivering their software? So to kick it off, I figured I'd give you a bit of a background on myself that should be pretty relevant in today's discussion. I'm the CEO and co-founder of a company named Apprenda. We're in the cloud middleware space. I'm an ex-software engineer and architect. I spent the majority of my career on the front lines architecting software as a service applications that, for all intents and purposes, would be delivered in the cloud today. This is a number of years back prior to a lot of the cloud noise that we're seeing today. And specifically, the middleware we've created is named xvid. It's a distributed application server for Microsoft.NET software as a service applications. So who does this session target? Basically, if you're an independent software vendor looking to build SaaS applications and want to understand the lay of the land, become familiar with the variety of offerings that exist in the space within infrastructure as a service and platform as a service, and be able to distinguish between the two and how they're meaningful to you. It's also targeting those that are just interested in understanding cloud taxonomy. If you look at cloud nowadays, it's pretty broad and pretty dense, with a variety of offerings that fit a variety of categories, and sometimes it can be very confusing and very daunting to break down and understand what the various offerings mean and who they're targeting. And then also for the intellectually curious, if you're just trying to figure out what the space looks like, not from a taxonomy perspective, but somebody's perspective on what the space is and how it's going to unfold. So if you fit any of these three categories, the session is definitely for you, and I think you'll enjoy the topics. So to start, as I mentioned, one of the primary focuses of this is infrastructure as a service players versus platform as a service players, and how it affects those trying to deliver applications in the cloud. What do we know so far about delivering software in the cloud? I think it's important to frame that concept so that we can go forward intelligently and say, where does infrastructure as a service play in and where does platform as a service play in? A few things that we do know is that scalability and reliability are a must. Typically, software companies that are proposing to become, say, the next Salesforce.com in their vertical are saying, look, all you customers that are currently running on-premises instances, you're going to be accessing a piece of software that we're going to host. We're going to offer this to you as a service. And even if it's mission-critical software, if it has to do with your sales processes or internal workflows, we'll provide that service to you. So the ability to support the aggregation of all your customers at one location, the scalability piece, and the ability to do so with a high level of service level guarantee or a high level of quality are critical. You can't claim to offer software in the cloud if you can't satisfy these two qualities. The next one is that quality must be maintained. You can't move an application to the cloud and hope to offer it to your customers by sacrificing the quality of that application in trade for some of these other qualities like scalability and reliability. So anybody intending to offer software in the cloud needs to ensure that the quality of the software remains the same. The other thing we know is that it forces a change in the business model of software companies. For those companies that are moving their applications to the cloud, with it comes a lot of business baggage, changes in revenue models. You're moving from, say, a feast or famine, large licensing fee model to a model that focuses instead on consistent, predictable revenue streams around either transactions or time-based approaches. If you look at somebody like Salesforce.com, their revenues typically come in on a per-user basis for access to the software, or for access to their Force.com platform or what have you. A lot of software companies aren't accustomed to these types of models, so this change in business model is something that we know happens when you move to the cloud, even if you're experimenting, even if you're just partly moving to the cloud and maybe flirting with a couple of your products. But particularly for those that are moving their entire business to the cloud, this is de facto. The business model will change, ranging from revenue all the way through operations. You're a service company now, you're no longer a product company, so these expectations are set. And I think the most important thing to realize is what's the root of all this, and it's the introduction of what I call the many-to-one problem. Basically, all of your customers come to you, the ISV, to access software. Typically speaking, if you look at the on-premises world, it was more a kind of one-to-many projection. We built software once. We sold licenses of that software to our customers. Our customers would install it behind their firewall, and they took on operational responsibility. They took on maintenance responsibility, and they also took on liability. When this model is inverted, all the customers are coming to your instance or instances of software being hosted by you, the now service provider, X product company. You've created a many-to-one situation that you need to deal with. and we'll get into some of the details around that, but basically